I guess my microphone was off, so we can just go back to talking about this all again, which that's great. Um, what I'm doing right now is just reinforcing the lines a little bit. I also have my different tools that I'll use. I'm going to show some of the other stuff that I do. I will use my Faber-Castell colored pencils. And you'll see areas where the paint starts to separate a little bit, and I'll just go back in and just clean it up a little bit. Didn't used to do this as much as I do now, but I've just been kind of experimenting with using the colored pencils in different ways. And you can see an area like right here where the paper has started to break, and this can go in. When I do that, it smooths that out quite a bit. Now I think we'll grab a slightly darker blue, like right here. This blue. Cover right here. Hey Marthas, I'm doing all right. How are you tonight? Yeah, we're going in with some colored pencil and we're trying to even some things out and clean things up a little bit. I don't always use this technique, but lately I've been enjoying it, so the results have been good, and it's wanting to do it in such a way that like you get really nice full bright colors. And what are you working on tonight? This is the last big piece of art I gotta finish for the bunch that have to go out for the Kickstarter rewards, and then all of the rewards except for the big name and the sand rewards will go out, be out, and I'll be able to send out the last of the comp copies for some people. I'll be able to get off to the next thing. I've had some people message me about working on some projects, and I'm hesitant to jump into anything just because of how long this has taken. I don't know if I want to dive right back into another long form anything for a while. Oh, you got a deadline coming up? Yeah, I can understand that. And what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna finish the colored pencil on the tick, and then I'm gonna go in with the inks and show you close to what a finished one would look like. As you can see, the color is on top of the ink, and what we want is the ink to be on top of the color. So what we do is we go back in. This is our brush pen that has our, like I mentioned earlier with my microphone off, the Phil Martin's Black Star Matte. And this is a step that a lot of artists don't take because it's extra labor for that last mile that some people never even notice. Mahmoud Asrar uses this technique. If you're looking for somebody that goes back in and puts the ink on top of the paints, he just posted a process video the other day where he did it. Wow, yeah. I once did an exercise where I did no more than 4 panels on a page, and that was an interesting exercise. It just meant for more pages, which was, it made it for a faster read in the end, which was an interesting study in pacing, so it was useful in the end, but, I don't know if I would choose to do that very often. I'm very conscious of how quickly some of my books read. Like, I honestly think someone could knock through Undersea Hero in about 20 minutes, even though it's 80 some odd pages, because I know so many people just read the words. Yeah, exactly. You want to go back in and punch up the line art. And one thing that people may not realize is that when you punch up the line work, the colors pop a little bit more. And I am making choices. There are some lines I'm not going to refill back in. Uh, or I'll add a little extra. Yeah, you could. You could. I mean, that is one of the nice things about not having to worry about print costs is you have a lot of freedom to worry about your pacing or not worry about your pacing. And I also think that there's a great opportunity because you know that people are scrolling, so it's like a whole different set of storytelling mechanisms that you get to mess with. I read a great Dean Haspiel uh, digital comic, and he designed it for digital, and he would stretch out panels. Instead of doing double page spreads wide, he made them double tall and used them in a different way to do impact. And it was such a brilliant use of the medium in a new way. Dean Haspiel's phenomenal artist, but then I'd run the risk of putting a whole bunch of details on each of those pages. That's true. It's always the risk. You know, gotta pick and choose your fights with that labor. Yeah, for Dino's story, he just did it in his Substack, from what I remember. He doesn't even have it was not on Webtoons. Um, I think he was just doing it as an experiment. It was really fascinating to read and think about the different variables of storytelling, um, with visual drawings and illustrations on a new platform that way. Doing that thing that good artists do, which is asking the question why on stuff and why not, and trying to push those things. Dean's a phenomenal artist, so if you don't know his work, he's just exceptional. He did a story called Freak Magnet for Archie Comics for their character the Fox, and it was exceptional. Worth seeking out. Probably tough to find. I don't know what the print runs were like on those, or if they're available anywhere online. They did do trades, and I think they were nominated for Eisner, so somebody's got to have them somewhere. Basically, just letter big so the phone reader won't have to zoom and stick. That makes sense. Yeah, you're thinking about what you're reading it on. That's exactly, you're doing the thing. Dean Haspiel. I'll write it down. Dean. Sometimes he goes by Dino when you see his signature. He's got a free Substack. I mean, he does. I've only gotten to hang out with him at a few shows over the years, and he did a book called The Quitter, which was an American Splendor graphic novel that he did with Harvey Pekar, which I think won him a bunch of awards. Just a fantastic book. But now you can see that with the line art shored up, that it's got just that extra pop to it, which is what we want, and we want that on all the main characters. So like I will do what we just did with the tick with each of the main characters, and then I'll do the outline, and then I'll probably pump up this part here, but I'll leave all of the background with sort of that gray, softer line art. So it pushes it back a little bit into the background just by virtue of not having the level of contrast. And the FS is that guy, the person who commissioned it. That's like the initials of his band or whatever. And he just wanted to have this to hang in his music room or his band room or whatever he was studio. I don't remember. Not trying to diminish the place that it'll be in. It's just I don't remember the name of the room or the type of room it was. We're all artists. We're all just trying to make the best stuff we can, and that's all I ever try to bestow on people. One thing they do make, I know we brought it up when we were painting, they do have a Payne's Gray Faber-Castell pencil. So if I need to go in and touch up, which I do right here because I forgot to put a shadow on his teeth right there. Put it in like that, and there you go. Good to see you, Mike. Welcome aboard. What color red does this look like? Is it this red? A little more cherry. I feel like that's closer. This red's pretty solid. I'm just going to bring some extra just along the edge of the highlights. Because sometimes when the two paints mix on the paper, they can cause one another some trouble. Yeah, like right here, there's some broken down coloring. Go in and clean that up. Get ourselves an orange in here. Go. We have a nice lemon yellow too, nice gold yellow. If we're going to come in here and soften these edges just a little bit. It's these little bits of detail that when you look at the piece at the end, it gives it that finished feeling, and it's got those tight things. I mean, we've put in probably a good 30 hours on this piece, and we're still adding to it. We'll mention I'll be at FAN EXPO Boston in a couple weeks. Anybody's interested in a commission or is going to be there, I look forward to saying hello. Hey, Dennis, good to see you. Thanks, man. Yeah, we're going in and doing touch-ups. We're using all kinds of different tools, inks, colored pencils, bleed-proof white paint. This is where we go in and we really put those hard edges and crisp things together, and we really pull it together as a final piece. Um, I don't know if I have a Caucasian skin tone. I do. I just got to sharpen it. I just have a regular old Staedtler pencil sharpener. It's got a color. It's got a sharpener that's designed for color. So go ahead and clean that up a little bit. Just a little bit. Clean up the edges in here. I want to keep some of those nice wash bits, but sometimes there's just little points that you have to pull out to make them stand out a little bit. So Faber-Castell white, which we can go in here and we can just add just soften the edge right there a little bit. Take those few extra minutes and go in there and add those little details that you want to see. When it's done, it'll. My week has been a little stressful. We actually had an elderly family member pass away, but we're getting through. So, busy at work. Oops. Yeah, it's. We had just gone to her 100th birthday party earlier in the year, so I appreciate that. Work has been busy. How's your week been? Doing some acting gigs, some voiceover work. You've been drawing up a storm, I've noticed that. Yes, sir. You've been pulling too many acting gigs, is that what it is? Or I know you're a busy family man as well, so you're wearing a lot of hats. As we ink a hat. Oh geez, ACL surgery. Wow. Okay. Yeah. That's a tough week, man. There we go. Are you enjoying getting back into drawing? I've seen you drawing lots of superhero stuff and the Spider-Man piece, and then the Spider-Gwen, I think I saw. You did a Lord Crackus sketch, which I'm gonna bug you about putting in either in something or at least on the website. I have to do, at some point I have to do a major website update. I was hoping to have my, web store and everything open by now, but just has not happened with everything. So it might be pushed back to being a fall project at this point. This piece has some issues with it as far as like there's a little bit of wonkiness here and there, but I chalk that up to wanting them to feel like they're moving. So there's a little bit of a bounce to the figures. Learning to ink with a brush was one of those things that took a very long time and a lot of practice, but it's actually become one of my favorite aspects of drawing. So I definitely hated it when I started out. It was very hard. It's been a while since I've done a color piece that has this much detail with background and everything else. And while I tend to enjoy completing them, the process is very long. I've always been like, oh, I should do a watercolor story, like a full length story. And it would just, I can't even fathom how long it would take. But then again, like if you add up all the hours of being on the computer, like I do like the idea of penciling, inking, and coloring all on one board. That would be not that it would save any time, but I don't. I like the idea of not being on the computer and not looking at a screen. So you can see when we pull out these lines that there's definitely like a little bit more punch to it. You can see that things are a little more clear. And the colors pop a little bit more, and you have that full dark line. Obviously, this is not the only way to do any sort of drawing like this. Like you can obscure the lines, you can push stuff back and forth, you can add layering. I look at this as a very traditional approach to like a comic book drawing. There's an expected outcome, and I can get us there. And also by doing it in this way, it stays pretty organized. And when you look at my drawings of a similar method, there is a obvious consistency to it. At different parts of my career, I've changed my drawing style. And at times, that's made editors think that I can't draw consistently, and that I think was not necessarily a compliment, that they didn't think that those were conscious choices on my part. Which I would say most of the time they certainly were. There was a period where I was elongating my figures and trying to make them more dynamic that way, so it looked like they were more fluid. The good thing about the type of ink that I use, or one of the many good things in my opinion, is that it dries so quickly that it's very tough to smudge. And that's something that I struggled with like 8 ball and or the speedball, excuse me. Some of the other brands of ink that are out there, they don't dry as quick, and I run my hand over it while inking, or if I'd go to erase it, it would smudge away and it would mess up the whole thing. And when you're at this critical junction, you're at the end of it, and you don't want to have to try to figure out a way to hide a mistake or something at this point. I'm sorry to hear that, Martha. Well, we at the channel believe in you, and you're gonna get your pages done, and you're gonna submit them, and the art fight will happen. I think I can speak for many people in the chat or the channel that we're all rooting for you. Next week, we'll be doing our first of the month. We're gonna do sketch cover giveaways. We'll just work on a sketch cover on the channel on that episode, and then we'll raffle it off. It's something we used to do more often, but yeah, and the only way, all you got to do to enter is throw a like and a comment, and you're good. Oh, and just like before, like the more comments, they all act like raffle tickets. So if you hang out and chat for a little bit, more likely to win. So you put more tickets into the bucket. The thing that's slowing me down is I use other people's new to me characters at a small size. It's hard to do color pencil. Plus, they don't want to screw it because the. That's fair. Drawing new characters is hard. It takes a while to get comfortable, especially if you're drawing them at different scales and stuff. Yeah, I can totally see that. I caught up on a little bit of movie watching. I did see the new Masters of the Universe film. I saw that. That is a film that was made. And, it was very much a kid's movie. And I think if I was a kid and a fan of that stuff, I think I would have liked it more than as an adult. But I appreciated some of the wacky stuff that was in it. Hey, thanks, Jonathan. It's getting there. Colored pencil, watercolor. By the end of this, we'll have pretty much everything except shoe polish on this thing. There's actually a technique that I used in the past where I'll use coffee grounds. It wouldn't be appropriate for this piece, but if we do a fantasy piece that I want it to look like, the Days of High Adventure, I would maybe use coffee grounds and rub it into the paper on it and stuff. That always freaks people out when they watch that happen. They're like, no. Won't the piece smell like coffee? Yes, it does. But thanks, Jonathan. I do want to do some more of those next issue covers that I started doing a while ago. I did a Strange Tales, and then I did the Charlton Bullseye, which got picked up and put into a magazine. There's a bunch of comics I love that got canceled or cut short, and I would love to do faux covers as if it was just starting up and continuing again. I mean, I'm not a big fan of doing what you call it, homage covers. I just don't really like doing them because that's the fun part for me is coming up with the idea and so Duncan's. What's the question for Duncan's? I gotta remind myself that I'm not doing Egyptian tomb paintings. They don't have to pose the characters, so all their weapons. It's true. No, that's an. I always wonder if when I'm posing characters like that and I'm putting too much of their stuff in it, if I'm just being selfish as an artist. I do wonder that of myself. Oh, Duncan's is the question. Yeah, coffee. Yeah, I'll rub coffee grounds on it after I've painted it, and it'll create this wonderful, rich, warm feeling in the piece, and it unifies the whole thing. And it doesn't feel like a Photoshop filter because it has like different patches. You gotta be willing to just let it do what it does and not be trying to force it to do what you're expecting. This looks like a good color for. Do I only use Duncan's? I will use even cheaper than Duncan's, sir. Store brand. Here, punch up these darker areas because I feel like the lighter areas look good, but I think the darker areas need a little bit more gusto. Yeah, dime box, that's just kind of like it's a similar thing where you're just doing a new adventure with an old comic, but like the my next issue thing, I did a Strange Tales cover, I did a She-Hulk cover, I did an 80s series Red Sonja cover, and it was just like, hey, what if we just did the next issue's cover, like if it just had come out? So I try to make it look like it exactly like it if had come out then. And that's part of the challenge too, is like if I did a cover that came out in the 90s, I'd want it to look like the 90s, the early 2000s, etc., the 80s, the 70s, and I've done that with different techniques. Because at that point, you're still coming up with what you call it. Oh, thank you. You're still coming up with a new idea as opposed to a an homage cover, which is not as fun for me. And I know people love homage covers because they're everywhere. But when I'm doing it, on my own time, on my own dime, as we say, I like to come up with something new, but still familiar. Because like, there's so many. I'm trying to think of an example. What's a good comic that got canceled that I really liked? Like Cloak and Dagger. I think it got canceled in like '93 or '94. The last issue has a an excellent early period Bagley cover, and I would just do the next issue. I think it's issue 19. I would do issue 20. As if I was hired to do it, and if the series was just picking up again, as if it had never ended. And it's just a fun thing to think about. There were a bunch of fantasy books at DC in the '70s, like Stalker and Beowulf and Starfire. Those are books that like, oh, that would be fun if I just did what if they did issue 5? You know, I'm gonna get the wee little pen. Make sure we got some ink flowing. Not sure if we're gonna finish tonight, but we'll get close. We'll see how far we can get. Yeah, and the background I did purple for the curtains, but where the heavy lights are, it's so bright that it makes it pink. So that was kind of like, it's pulling the blue out. So like the orange, and I didn't want to put a hard yellow over everything. So we'll keep moving. B is a little further away and smaller, so I'm going to use more pen because I don't want to overly mess with the fidelity of the lines, the stroke. I wish I drew a better guitar. That's not a great guitar. Although I did use reference, which makes it even sadder that I couldn't draw a better guitar. Oh, I forgot to color in the guitar pick. If you think that people would vote on that, I'd be happy to. I don't. Do I have enough friends that would be interested in that? Is that something you folks would like to do? If I put a poll up on Facebook or someplace. What are some other books? Like I like the Kyle Rayner Green Lantern. I mean, people could easily make suggestions of books that I'm not even thinking of. Just like the original ROM series, like that was what issue 79 or 80 it got canceled at. Like just do issue 81 cover. Or famously that Punisher series that was supposed to be 6 issues became 7, or 5 and became 6. I don't remember which, but they just added an issue. And I add a like a little glimmer, like where it just dinged the triangle. And maybe I'd have to put it on my website or multiple platforms. I just don't think anybody would see it if I just did it on my website. I could try to put it on. There's like a message board page on my on my YouTube channel, like community page, I think it's called. I could put something there, like just comment A, B, or C. Like I could easily put it on multiple places. I know that like my two main places where people watch this show and consume my work is on Facebook and on YouTube. So let's get like a nice pink. I used to occasionally put stuff on there, but I never got any like nobody ever engaged with it, so I just said the heck with it. A nice little pink guitar pick. That way it stands out, so it doesn't look like she's holding a potato chip or something. Yeah, I saw the new Masters of the Universe, and what else did I see? I saw something else. I saw another movie. What did I see? I don't remember. Oh, Jonathan, did you watch the Swamp Thing on Svengoolie, the original, the Wes Craven Swamp Thing? We watched it over here. It was a fun evening. The second one is even more ridiculous. It's a faster pace. It's got a trauma quality to it, I would say, and it's more like the TV show. I don't know if you ever saw the Swamp Thing TV show of the day. It was on Svengoolie. Svengoolie is a show that's on a network called MeTV, and they show old movies for anybody that's on here that doesn't know what I'm talking about. One of the most awkward editorial sessions with NEC had to do with Bumbling Bee, and there were two of them actually. One of them was when I had her yelling at the Tick and Rubber Ducky when they jump off a roof together, and they wanted me to make her more attractive looking while yelling at them, even though the script called for her to be like really, really angry. And then another one had to do with her shapeliness, shall we say, where they kept asking me to make her more shapely. That's the nicest way I can put it for one of the pieces that I did for them. It was actually on a cover, and I look at that cover now, and it's just embarrassing. And I think it was like the third thing I ever drew for NEC, so I was like, yeah, I'll make whatever changes you want. Yeah. That was a stupid thing for me to do. I saw the Odyssey. That was one that I saw in the theater. Shang-Chi 2. I didn't see the first one. Did you like that one? Was that a good movie? I like the guy who plays the lead. I saw him on that TV show Kim's Convenience. I thought he was excellent in that show. He's a good actor. Oh, good. You've seen the old Swamp Thing? Nice. Yeah, when I was a kid, my brother and I both liked it in the TV show. Sean Wong told me when he came up with Bumbling Bee, her antennae were supposed to always be moving, like the antennae on Saturday Night Live, the bees on SNL. It was Jane Curtin and John Belushi. Just punching up some of the color areas. There we go. Punch those lines up. Pulled the stuff forward I want to pull forward. Trying to decide if I want to do the instruments that I probably need to do the drum kit, and then the keyboard with the re-ink on top of it. So we're probably not getting done tonight, but it's I meant to turn that on. There we go. I had the comments off for a while just because there was nobody here. I forgot to turn them back on. Feel free to always mention that stuff to me. Sometimes I'm not paying attention or I'm too busy into the drawing or whatever to notice it. Because I can see the comments on the right side of the screen, even though you folks can't see them. Yeah, I think this will be done with one more sitting after tonight. And it's not a ton of work that'll be done after tonight. It'll be finishing this. And then I use a spray fixative at the end. So we'd like go in and add, finish this. A little bit of white here and there, a little glimmer right here I think is needed. And then, yeah, I use a Winsor Newton fixative. Works great. Archive safe, and it keeps any smudging or anything from happening. Well, no, sometimes I answer questions and I don't read questions. I'm not a good host like that. So sometimes I'll just be saying things and everybody like, why did he say that? It's because somebody asked them. Gives everybody a little more context. Makes me seem less crazy. think this one we can go back to the brush pen, just because Arthur's a little bit more stout than B. There we go. Yeah. You can see now, like when people ask me, why does it take so long? You've seen most of the steps now for one of these pieces, so any one of you can answer the question. Why does Ian's stuff take so darn long? Part of the hope is that when the person gets the piece, that they'll be able to look at it again and again and see new stuff all the time. I really like doing that. Arthur's sheet music hitting the ground as he's shuffling through pages trying to keep up with the song. I was trying to think of what song they might be playing, and I kept coming back to that one-hit wonder from the 90s. So, Master of the Universe is streaming for free on Amazon Prime. That's why I was able to see it. We have Amazon Prime, and we use it for the free shipping because we get art supplies, get boxes, shipping supplies, all kinds of stuff through them. I wish I didn't have to. When I can, I support the local art supply. There's a great one, Riverside, over in Fall River, which is pretty. It's not a short drive for me, but they are an excellent mom and pop art supply store. It's been there for generations. It's in Swansea, or Somerset. I don't know. I get those confused. And as somebody who has read the Iliad and the Odyssey, I'm not an expert, but I have read them, so I'm aware of the stories and everything else. And I've seen different versions over the years. And I thought it was very much just a Chris Nolan fantasy flick. And I enjoyed it for that. It's a big spectacle, big, expensive movie. There was a little bit of time. It took a little bit for me to get used to Matt Damon as the lead, as Odysseus. Because I always just see him as Matt Damon. But the movie was good enough that by the time we got into like the end of the second and third act, I saw him just as Odysseus. So at the beginning, I did not. I wholly admit that. Like I just saw Matt Damon. Somerset, there you go. No Rain. I was thinking, was it Got You Where I Want You by the Flies? Because there's two singers, and then there's a guy that does like a rap rock interlude, and I thought that would be very Cape Cod of him to do a very tone-deaf interlude in the middle of a song that is otherwise perfectly enjoyable. Hey, it's Douglas. Was it as good as Clash of the Titans? I mean, I love the Ray Harryhausen stuff. Jason and the Argonauts. Watched that religiously as a kid. Sinbad. Love those movies. Um, it is a big, expensive spectacle. And it was a fun popcorn movie. I saw it at like noon on a Sunday or whatever, and I found it enjoyable. Am I going there looking to get an exact translation? Not in the slightest. And I don't hold that against the film. I know that we have a bunch of people who became scholars of the Iliad and the Odyssey very recently, who have opinions on its authenticity on this or that, or the changes that were made. But I do love Clash of the Titans with the mechanical owl. Cleanup work on a full color piece. This is what they used to have assistants for back in the day. It's like, hey, can you just go over some of these lines and just get back to me? I'll be taking a nap over in the east wing of the studio, otherwise known as the couch. I like the Sinbad movies. I did. I thought they were fun. They did like three of them, I think. I don't think I have my wee little ruler here. Got this one. This one will work fine. I'll get my 0.7, which is just a little thicker of a line. Just trying not to make one of those like annoying poor craftsmanship mistakes where like your hand hits it or your hand shakes, because I do not have very steady hands in general, so it is a wonder we've gotten this far. But I've developed a lot of technique that like I can kind of hide some of my shaky hand stuff. Like in the way I color is one of them. Like you can see all this texture in here. Like all of this is very intentionally done. Like it creates a sense of depth, but it also hides my shaky hands. Like at least in oil painting, you have those layers of blend and everything, but in this type of mixed media illustration, if you go for that really clean look, it's tough if you have like my shaky hands. Douglas has steady hands. I've watched him draw. We jammed on some sketch covers at San Diego one year, and his lines were much cleaner than mine. I saw one of those pop up somewhere. I don't remember if it was on a Tick forum or a Comic Art Fans. I saw one of the San Diego sketch cover jams pop up. Switch to the smaller pen for the interior line. Yeah, I've got to reline that bass drum. And this is just, like I said, getting ink on top of the paint that has rested on top of it because we painted with Bristol. So that's one of the things that does happen. Like the paint sits right on top. It doesn't all get absorbed, especially when you're layering your color. It's just something to be aware of if you choose this paper. There's some other movies that I wanted to see that I'm sure Supergirl will be on streaming before you know it, and that one I will watch on streaming. I didn't follow all of the announcements at San Diego. Um, I heard there was a fist fight at one of the booths over a Batman comic, which sure. I do love in the post San Diego week or so, you get to see all the expensive artwork that people commission that I could never afford and that companies don't commission from amazing artists. So, like these private commissions will pop up by just incredible artists drawing characters that maybe they're known for, maybe they're not. Oh, what do we got left? So we've got these characters down here that we've got to just sure up the ink in front of them. Our edges. Like I said, we've got some white paint we'll be dropping down, and let's fix our border. That's an easy one that we can do. I believe it. Doug does it every year. He has a big, huge booth with his Arsenic Lullaby presents. I won't ask you about it, even though I'm curious, and I'd love to hear about it at some point. I'll give it time. Maybe the next full moon. A few lunar cycles, get a few through. You can see I'm very intentionally touching the paper in a certain way because I've definitely made mistakes when the curl of the paper affects the brush coming across it and it gives me a line or a move that I can't recover from. But there we go. I made it all the way around. Let's see if we can get a couple of these guys done. The beauty of these is they're very simple. They're just modified silhouettes, really. It's just a little bit of detail. But you can see like right in here, there's some paint in front of stuff. Right in here. And these aren't even characters, but like just adding the finished ink on top of it, you can see that it makes a more cohesive finish to the whole thing. And things look more intentional. You know, we always talk about intent and making the lines that you want. Having a finished, that doesn't mean that, you know, you have a steady line or whatever. It just means that, you know, if you're throwing paint at the paper in a certain way, you expect it to be doing it intentionally and look intentional. So oh, thanks, man. Yeah, it's just simulating that overprint look for sure. I thought that adding any sort of tone would just make it even more busy. Like he wanted so much in the piece, and it's so busy as it is that like at least having one section that's kind of monotone would soften it a little bit. I would do that with more stuff. You know, when I used to do the occasional cartoon strip in full color, like watercolor, and I would do that for a lot of like framing, just treating a single color almost like a single zipatone screen, you know, for separation more than the color itself. Well, we're almost going to be finishing up for this tonight's stream here. We'll try to get through just the outlines at least if we don't do all the fills. Like I said, next week we'll do that sketch cover giveaway. I'll pick out one of my sketch covers and we'll just raffle it off to somebody on somebody's comment. Any random comment could win the sketch cover. We used to do this back in the day, and I wanted to bring it back since we're on the other side of Undersea Hero when this is finished. I do have one last set of rewards I've got to do, but like I said, I got to get a drone photographer to take care of that for me. It's just writing a check and showing up at a beach. I wanted to get all this other stuff done first. All you got to do is throw a couple comments in. We hit the random number generator, and because the comments in Restream show linearly, I just count down from the top from however many comments there are, and whoever is comment that the random number generator picks gets the sketch cover just mailed to them. Comments end up being like raffle tickets. The more comments, the more raffle tickets. I was just at a Cape League baseball game not that long ago with my dad. It was for Father's Day, and they were doing the 50-50 raffle, and their shtick was to do like the arm length, like the wingspan of the player on the team with the widest wingspan, and he comes out and measures you get X number of tickets with number of wingspans. All right, now we've got some white paint and some little things here and there to go, but I do a little bit more blue colored pencil down here. But we got pretty far, so we're very close. I don't know if I can zoom out enough for you to see the whole thing. Let me try. Almost see the whole thing. But thanks everybody for coming and hanging out. Hope everybody has a good weekend and a good rest of their week, and I hope to see you next week. Thanks for hanging out. I'll see you folks later. Good night.